أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من اللعين الشيطان الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا المبعوث رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا لا سيما على بقية الله في الأراضين أرواحنا لتراب مقدمه الفداء. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أوصيكم عباد الله وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل والورع عن محارمه. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه المجيد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واتل عليهم نبأ ابني آدم بالحق إذ قربا قربانا فتقبل من أحدهما ولم يتقبل من الآخر قال لأقتلنك قال إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. I just want us to reflect on this verse, which is verse 27 of Surah Al-Ma'idah. In this verse, we take one important principle in our lives, and that is that taqwa is the condition for our acceptance, is the condition for the acceptance of everything that we do. We have been asked to carry out certain obligations, to pray, to fast, to give zakat, to go for hajj, to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and abstain from all acts that are displeasing to Him. However, the condition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for the acceptance of everything is taqwa. That nothing is accepted if it's not accompanied with this condition. That's why we always remind each other, and on every Friday whenever we get this opportunity, on taqwa. Because taqwa is the objective of our existence, is the goal that we have to reach to. All these majalis, all these activities, the sermons, everything that we do, recitation of the Quran, recitation of du'as, ziyarat, everything is to take us to this point. It is to give us taqwa. We gain nothing from anything that does not take us closer to taqwa, does not give us this feeling of taqwa. Because taqwa means obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means being sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means being closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means everything. Therefore, taqwa is the goal. And this is why it's not an optional thing. It's not something that belongs to a certain category of people. And taqwa is not for the ulamas and the sheikhs. Taqwa is for everyone, male and female. All are required to have taqwa. Every Muslim is supposed to acquire taqwa. This is why we are supposed to encourage one another every time to acquire taqwa, to have the consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be mindful of our actions, to take care of everything that we do and we engage in, because that is the goal. In our last night's majlis, I mentioned this incident whereby Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, while returning from the battle of Siffin, passed by the graveyard and started addressing the dwellers of the graves, then turned to his companions after speaking to them, after giving the news of this world, and turned to his companions and told them, had they been allowed to speak out, they would only say one thing, and that is, فَتَزَوَّدُوا إِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. They only tell you, here we have found out that nothing counts, there's nothing important, it is just taqwa. That's what gives you comfort in this world. That's what you need in this world. Now, in this dunya, the most important achievement that one should achieve is taqwa. Now, when a person passes away, people speak about his achievements, what he has gained in this world. But we forget that the most important achievement on your report form is taqwa, at the level of taqwa. That's what we need to strive for. This we have understood. The question is, how do we acquire taqwa? How do we become muttaqoon? And I don't stand here to pretend that I'm the expert in this field, but I've read certain hadith and certain ayats and writings of ulama that can guide us towards this. So I'm a student as well as everyone else. So how do we become muttaqoon? How do we reach to that level of taqwa in this world that we interact in many things, we engage in many activities? We are here, we eat that, we laugh with this one, we interact with that one, we mix with this one, we make jokes, we play, we study, we work. How do we ensure that we have attained the level of taqwa? So, ulamas have given us guidance on this. That if we want to acquire taqwa, the most important principle, the most important thing that we have to pay attention to is this. First of all, we need to understand that it starts with knowing our obligations, knowing our duties, knowing the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because taqwa is obedience to Allah. So therefore it starts with understanding and knowing your duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By abiding by the Sharia, following and implementing the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the first step that we have to take in acquiring taqwa. So it starts with Sharia. Now, sometimes people say, you guys, you talk about fiqh all the time, Sharia, we want to talk about something else. The importance of Sharia, or fiqh, is that it gives you the knowledge about what is required from you, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do, how should you behave, how should you act in every situation. You cannot become muttaqi without Sharia, without fiqh, without understanding fiqh, without understanding how to pray and how to perform sawm, how to go for hajj. All these things have been mentioned, and it's not in vain. And some people are not very much happy when some details are mentioned about certain acts, about wudu or about salat, because this seems like you pay attention to so many small petty issues about this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to look at this. But it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has guided us to this. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who wants us to perform this in this way. And that's why it is called ibadah. Because ibadah is to perform the act for the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not necessarily understanding why and the wisdom and philosophy behind it, and we don't know. Why I have to start washing from the elbow downwards, why I have to make sure that water reaches every part of the skin. It's not just enough to pour water on yourself and say you have performed ghusl and all that. This is according to the Sharia. And we have no choice. If you want to be taqi, and we have to be muttaqun, it's not a choice, we have to acquire taqwa, then we have to follow the Sharia. That's the first step. Do not the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first step. Then it follows that if we want to now practically maintain taqwa, and that it becomes part of us, so it becomes a malaka. Malaka is something that now becomes very familiar with your system. It's not something that you need to learn about. Just the way you drive your car, just the way you do many other things, we unconsciously thinking about where to do or what are the rules that should apply. Unconsciously you implement them. That taqwa now makes you such a person that you immediately turn away from looking at haram. You do not start thinking, is it okay, is it not okay? When you see haram, just like our Imam alayhi salam, when Amr bin Abdaud wanted to save himself, what did he do? He opened himself. So Imam alayhi salam did not think about it. Immediately he turns away from him. And Amr bin Abdaud knew that Imam would not look at him. His eyes cannot look at haram. And we need to train ourselves to reach to a level that we can obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without thinking, without debating in ourselves whether I should do it or not. And this needs training. So how do we go about it? What are the steps that we need to take so that we can reach to that level of obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without thinking? That it is wajib, I have to do it. This is haram, I have to abstain from it. So they have given us this guidance. Three major steps or three major things that we have to pay attention to. It starts with the three are musharata, muraqaba, and muhasaba. Simple as that. Implementation of it is another thing. But this is it. It is musharata. Starts with conditioning yourself. Telling yourself, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to behave on this day. I'm not going to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever it is. For whatever reason, at any price, I will obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to abstain from all types of muharramat. And there's no compromise on it. So you are telling yourself, this is called musharata, conditioning. Look, you're speaking to yourself, this day that I'll be alive in it, there's no way I'll disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to do my duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It starts with that. So you have put a condition to yourself. And if you have the azm, because now at this point what you require to maintain that musharata is azmun wa irada wa himma. You need that willpower. You need that determination. Because you'll have a fight between you and your nerves and shaitan. So it will be now a big war. Because you have told yourself you're going to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the following day, whatever the matter is, at any price now you'll have a struggle. Because that is the time we have now alerted shaitan. And there's a war between you, there's going to be a war between you and shaitan and the nerves. Because he has to make sure that determination is no longer there. That your irada is weak. In the middle of the way, you will turn back. You will give yourself some sort of respite and say, okay, today I can take it a little bit and tomorrow I will try again. He wants that. But now you need irada. You need that high level of determination. And this is where people differ. They differ at the level of irada and azm, being determined to be able to continue with the same fight. Just like when you decide to fast, you condition yourself that you will abstain from all muharramat. And during the day, that's the test. You see good things in front of you. You see good food in front of you. You are tempted to come closer to them, but you are determined that you will not break your fast. Okay, with mustahab fast, you can say, okay, today I can miss it. Though it is equal to 100 years, dahul arud, fasting is equal to 100 years or 70 years of fasting, but this food is too sweet, I can't miss it, so I'll take it. Okay, mustahab, okay, but wajib, you will not, whatever the matter is. Okay? This is musharata. It needs determination. And then you come to the muraqaba. The muraqaba is that you are watching over yourself like a policeman. So you are guarding yourself. You're watching yourself at every time, controlling yourself. No, don't go there. We agree that we'll be following this path. I'm not going this way. All throughout, this is muraqaba. And yuraqiba nafsahu. You are watching on yourself just like another person is the one watching on you. Many of us would put on the masks whenever we come closer to police. We don't want to get in trouble. Okay? Though the mask is protecting us, but sometimes we do it for the sake of not being catched by the police, which is not right, yeah? Because we should do it for ourselves. So in muraqaba is that you have you are purposely following up yourself, warning yourself, and you take a disciplinary action against yourself just in case the self disobeys. Says, no, I'm not going to accept this. That is muraqaba. And this is so important because this is where the jihad is. If you do not do muraqaba, it's useless that you had musharata. Many people before sleeping, because they'll make these decisions and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be like this, I'm going to perform this act, I will wake up for prayers at the time, the prescribed time, I will perform tahajjud and all these many things. Then when it comes the time of implementation, the azm is not there. So you need muraqaba. You need to follow up yourself and seriously make sure that the self is obeying and following the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the second thing. And the third thing, which is so important, is muhasaba. And muhasaba is putting yourself to account, evaluating your performance, looking at how you have performed throughout the way. And this is where the ahadith emphasize a lot on the need of a person to evaluate himself, to account himself, to look at the amal, just like you are two partners in business. You're looking at where did we go wrong? What was not supposed to happen? Why did I do this and that? All these questions. And you are tough on yourself because your worst enemy is not even shaitan. It's not the person that you may think that he's your enemy. The worst enemy to you is yourself. And this is where you have to really fight against the self. And you will not be easy with yourself. I have to know, why did I go wrong here? Why did I not obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this? Why? Just like you are asked by someone else, and this is an agreement, you have made an agreement with yourself that this is the way you are going. Why did it happen that I did not follow it? Okay, if somebody else was putting you to task, you have agreed on a certain duty, a certain work, you as the supervisor, or you are being supervised, you don't take it easy with you. You'll have to account for it. And you are business people, you know what it means. You failed on this duty, you came late, you did this and that, and I have to deduct something from your salary, and I have to punch you here and there. Do you take yourself that way? Now some ulamas, they have taught us that when they do muhasaba with themselves, they take steps to punish themselves before they are punished by anyone else. So I disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this, I would give out this. I'll do this Some I've been told these stories, high level scholars, who just, because he wanted to control his level of anger. No, this goes with everybody at all levels. You can be a scholar, but at the same time you are very hot-tempered. So one big scholar, so hot-tempered. Every time he gets angry. One time he told himself, now if I'm going to get angry on anyone or for anything, I'm going to fast for 1 year. It happened that when he became so angry and he lost his mind, then he had to perform it. He had to carry it out, that to fast for 1 whole year. Okay, carry out that. Okay, maybe it's not easy for everybody, but if you condition yourself in such a way that if I do not do this, I will do that, meaning that you punish yourself, take it to account. I'm not saying you kill yourself. I'm not saying you start cutting your hand and all that. That's not half what it means. Okay, but you are putting yourself to such a condition that I will not be easy with myself. I missed out Salat al-Layl, I'll do Qadha and I'll do this and that. I missed out my Fajr prayers and I'm not going to just forget about it and life goes on as normal. No, I will be hard on myself. This is what is muhasabah. ليس منا من لم يحاسب نفسه في كل يوم وليلة. It's not among us who does not take himself to account. This is where we need to pay attention to. So if we want to follow the path of taqwa, if we want to really achieve this goal of taqwa, then we have no choice but to pay attention to these 3 steps: musharata, muraqaba, and muhasabah. There's no way. And as I said in the beginning, it's not optional to be muttaqi or not. It's a must that you become a muttaqi. You cannot succeed without taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept anything from us without taqwa. It's a condition for the acceptance of the amal. Therefore, we have to acquire it. How do we acquire it? These are the steps. And these are the first steps that we need to take. And inshallah ta'ala, we continue with the discussion the following days, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us respite. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من اللعين الشيطان الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل. قال سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه المجيد: إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم. This verse in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 60, talks about how to spend zakat, where to put your zakat. So we say that among the obligations on us as believers is the payment of zakat, payment of alms. And we mentioned the categories on which zakat is wajib. Now, where do we spend this zakat? On what do we spend this zakat? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has defined for us in this verse of Surah At-Tawbah where zakat should be spent. And because of time, again, we'll not be able to discuss all the categories. There are 8 categories, but I'll mention the first 2. And inshallah ta'ala we'll discuss about the rest in the following Jum'ah, inshallah ta'ala. So the first and second one is al-fuqara wal-masakin. That you give your zakat to the poor and the needy. Al-miskin, his condition is worse than that of faqir. Faqir, The poor person who does not possess the amount that will be sufficient for him, for his needs throughout the year. He has something. He owns something. So he can take care of himself to a certain period. But he is not able to look after himself or after all his needs throughout the year. That's faqir. Al-miskin may not have something which is enough for a day, or for 2 days, or that. Hand to mouth. He has nothing. That is al-miskin. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the first category, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts everything where it belongs. So the priority is given to these people, faqir and masakin, the needy, the poor and the needy, where to spend the zakat. And it is that they are people who do not have at the moment, at the right time, at this time, the sufficient amount of money or things that can help them carry out their lives throughout. Or they do not have any job, they do not have any means to earn. But if a person has a job or has a certain profession and is able to earn, even if it is little by little, then is not considered to be faqir or miskin. Now, if a person does not work just because of being lazy, and it is now that he doesn't have anything for his needs, can he take from zakat? At that moment, yes. Though it is required from him that he should work and find means of taking care of himself. But if he is a needy person at the time that you wanted to give a zakat, in this a proof that he is needy or he's poor,